Did you know that in Cyberpunk 2077, when in any sandy location, there is a chance that you will hear this?
I hate sand. It is coarse, rough, irritating, and it gets in everywhere.
So that was of course a reference to the sand-hating Sith Lord himself, Anakin Skywalker.
I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Video Game Easter Eggs, the series where we cover some of the best Easter eggs found in video games. As always, if you think you know of a video game Easter egg that I'm yet to cover, then let me know in the comments and I'll do my best to check it out. Oh, and before we get started, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Rise of Kingdoms. Rise of Kingdoms is a free-to-play, cross-platform strategy game that lets you choose from one of 13 historical civilizations. You must guide your chosen faction through time as you collect resources, develop technology, and build your dream city. To do this, you must upgrade buildings, train your soldiers, and research those new and exciting technologies to give you the edge over competing civilizations. The Egyptian civilization was actually just added to the game, so the question is, can you succeed where some of history's greatest leaders didn't? Now, it wouldn't be a strategy game without battles, and Rise of Kingdoms doesn't hold back. Instead of a boring battle report that tries to explain how the skirmish went, you get to see firsthand how your forces fare in battle, allowing you to make tactical decisions on the fly. I mean, you may even decide to take a peaceful approach, avoiding battles whenever possible. It's up to you, this is your story. You can download Rise of Kingdoms using the link in the description or in my pinned comment. Using my link and the code PLAYROKNOW not only helps support the channel, but will also reward you with 200 diamonds and 2 silver keys. Oh, and I almost forgot, by taking part in in-game events, you could even win a round trip to Egypt, which is crazy. Once again, a huge thank you to Rise of Kingdoms for sponsoring today's video, and without further delay, let's get started. Right, let's begin today's episode with another Easter egg from Halo 3. In episode 73 of this series, we discovered Travis Brady, a 3D artist who worked on Halo 2 and Halo 3. Now, Travis was pretty well hidden, but today's Halo 3 Easter egg is arguably even harder to spot. Once again, on the standoff map, you can find this. So this is the face of Chris Carney, a Bungie employee. I'm interested to know which of these Easter eggs do you think was harder to spot? Was it Travis Brady on the satellite station or Chris Carney on the moon? Let me know. Next up is janky but fun first-person shooter Brazilian Root. One of Brazilian Root's loading screens claims that there are at least 5 Easter eggs to find in each level, and whilst I admittedly haven't found them all, the ones I have found are pretty great. Well, saying that, the first Easter egg might not even be an Easter egg. On the game's 3rd level, you can find this. Now, when I first saw these synchronized swimming fish, I thought it was a glitch, but the more I think about it, and the more I think about the 5 Easter eggs per level claim, this is probably an Easter egg. A strange Easter egg, but an Easter egg all the same. The next Brazilian Root Easter egg can be found on the docks level. If you stick to the right side of the docks, you can find this. So instead of craving brains, this dancing zombie seems to have caught a bad case of disco fever. Okay, bad jokes aside, this kind of reminds me of the dancing zombies Easter egg from Dying Light, and I for one would pay to see that dance battle. Now, despite what I may have led you to believe, Brazilian Root isn't all dancing zombies and fancy fish. It's a tough game where enemies are capable of putting you down with a couple of well-placed shots. That's why it's best to use every tactic at your disposal, however cheesy it may seem. On the docks level, you can avoid a large part of the level by jumping into the water and swimming to the end. It's a long swim, but if it makes things easier, it has to be worth it, right? Or at least, that's what the game wants you to think. So you can swim to the end of the level, however the ladder doesn't seem to work. Next to the mysteriously broken ladder is a message that reads, "You're trying to cheat, right? You were trolled." That's right, you spent all that time swimming only to be left stranded in the sea. You have to admit, it's pretty funny. The final Brazilian route Easter egg can be found on the game's first level. On the football pitch, you can find a cryptic sign that doesn't seem to make much sense. Well, if you shoot this nearby rock enough times, this will happen. So if I'm honest, I don't know what the link between the strange message and these rocks is. If I had to guess, I'd say that maybe the rocks are supposed to look like a monkey's face, but they don't look like it to me. I mean, ignoring all that for 1 second, whatever we did summon a giant rock monster, which is pretty cool. If you do have any theories as to what the cryptic message may mean, then please let me know. Next up is a game that I highly doubt many of you would have heard of. At the time of recording, Steam is running the Next Fest event. Next Fest lets you try demos from hundreds of games. It's a great way for smaller developers to get some much needed attention. One of the games to take part in Next Fest was Selaco, a first-person shooter with tons of style. Selaco is a game that is now most definitely on my radar. When exploring the world of Selaco, you will encounter numerous doors that are locked behind a keypad. And what code works 99% of the time in video games? That's right, 0451. So let's try it. So using the code will actually damage your character. You'll then receive a message from the developers who acknowledge the popularity of the 0451 code before explaining that the code doesn't work here. It's a great way to mix up an all too common Easter egg, so hats off to the developers. Next up is an Easter egg from a game that I spent way too much time with last year. Gas Station Simulator does exactly what it says on the tin. It lets you run your very own gas station. As is the case with every simulator game ever, money is hard to come by in the early game. This makes things tricky as your uncle lent you the money to start your new business, and he tries to call in your debt after just 1 day. Well, with the power of cheats, you can gather up the funds to pay your uncle way earlier than expected, which will cause this to happen.
Hey, punk! Where's our goddamn money?
Wake up, Sam. You've got a gas station to run.
So that was a reference to this scene from Cyberpunk 2077.
Wake the f*** up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
The fact that paying your uncle back without cheats is ridiculously hard, some may say near on impossible, it's nice that the devs added this secret cutscene for the dedicated players who managed to do it, or for those who use cheats like me. So to end today's video, let's take another look at Rainbow Six Siege. As part of a recent update, the Emerald Plains map was added to the game, the first properly new map in Siege for nearly 3 years. Styled like an old Irish manor, Emerald Plains is a country club / private ranch that kind of reminds me of a Hitman map. I mean, the map even has a vault, though it's unfortunately shut. However, skilled drone operators can access the vault and find this. So hidden inside of a vase is a leprechaun that asks you to find its 30 lucky clovers. I've managed to find a couple of the clovers, but nowhere near the 30 that are required. I'm sure that after a couple of weeks the community will have found them all. I just hope that the reward for doing so isn't a skin for a gun. So that's it. If you enjoyed this video, then leaving a like is really appreciated. If you are a fan of Easter eggs and secrets in video games, then perhaps consider subscribing, as that's what this channel is all about. As always, thank you all for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon.